Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. Please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go?
Welcome, everybody, to a live stream edition, AMA version of Liberty Lockdown. This is Clint Russell. I'm your host. I am off to Austin tomorrow, pretty early. So I'm going to wait for people to get in here to ask me some questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to cover some, current events, I guess. Basically, what I was hoping to do is to ask the audience what I should give my speech on in Austin on Saturday. So I'm going to do that and see, because I feel like oftentimes, because I don't do much live, I don't get a chance to ask my audience what they want to hear from me. Obviously, there's some things that are in my wheelhouse that I can cover really thoroughly and off the top of my head, but there's also things that I'm passionate about that I never really talk about. And if you guys have any ideas, you're more than welcome to let me know. We got our first comment. It says, "Hey, Clint, are you streaming this on Rumble too?" I am not, simply because Rumble asks me to set up a separate stream and then I have to plug it into StreamYard. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So it's a bummer. Base Jew says, "What's up? What's up, bro? Do your speech about you announcing." Oh, here we go. It begins already. I'm really, no, I don't want to do that. No, thank you. Speaking of someone who should announce, though, and as far as I'm aware, he did not today on Joe Rogan. Congrats to my brother, Dave Smith, for his, 10th appearance on Rogan, or it's got to be a lot at this point. I thought he did a great job. I went to the gym just now and I was able to watch the first hour. So, I'm sure he crushed the other 2 hours, but he did lots of his run, and I really want him to do that. Once again, the baseness, giving me money for nothing. Appreciate it. Benzo says, "I'm still not sure if I'm going Saturday, but I'm thinking about it. It'd really sway me. I'm just saying." It would sway you if I was going to announce? Yeah, I'm sure it would sway. Yeah. Brianna says, "I'm about to listen to it now on the treadmill." That's exactly what I did. Well, elliptical, same difference. So let's, I'll come back to the comments in a second, but I wanted to cover something. This is from the National Pulse. Says the World Economic Forum says it will accelerate implementation of globalist Agenda 2030. World leaders will be gathering together later this year to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030, according to an announcement made by the unaccountable corporate-led WEF earlier this week. I have no idea if this source is legitimate at all, by the way. The United Nations and the WEF appear frustrated by a lack of progress made towards their Great Reset ideology alongside Agenda 2030, the socialist ideological successor to the failed Millennium Development Goals. The WEF, led by German engineer Klaus Schwab, whose father once worked for a Nazi party apparatus, has said previous efforts to implement their plans suffered unforeseen setbacks due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, I disagree with you, Klaus. I think they advanced your cause quite thoroughly, friend. He continues, "Major negative impacts of climate change and the rising cost of food and fuel everywhere due to the conflict in Ukraine." Yeah, okay. Global leaders and representatives are therefore being summoned to strategize and expedite the progress of what the WEF refers to as arguably the greatest ever human endeavor undertaken to create peaceful, just, equal, and sustainable societies. I am not interested in either an equal or sustainable society, because to you guys, both of those words mean communism. No, thank you. Continues. The UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs has argued that practical solutions that can accelerate progress on the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, those are the SDGs, which is a rebranding of ESGs, you know what I'm talking about, will be urgently needed. The 17 SDGs comprising Agenda 2030 were first compiled in 2015 and were agreed upon by 191 UN member state governments, though not necessarily their voting publics. Yet, no shit. These goals include laudable aspirations such as ending poverty and eradicating world hunger. Neither of those things will ever be accomplished. Sorry, that's not what they said. That's what I said. Amongst more nefarious globalist goals and areas of gender ideology and hard left socialist economics, since Davos 2021, the WEF has publicly discussed how these goals can be used to achieve the Great Reset, which would see ordinary people able to own nothing personally. Come on, this is a little bit biased here. WEF plans to assemble world leaders after the highly anticipated Sustainable Development Goals progress report is published by the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, later this year. The report's findings will inevitably lay the foundation for the international deliberations. This year's report, insists the WEF, is especially crucial as we're nearing the halfway point of Agenda 2030. Yeah, well, unfortunately for y'all, we're in your way, aren't we? Yes. Let's see what other comments we got. Oh, we got a lot of comments here. No gas available at a major gas station a couple weekends ago. Supply, don't know if it was a fluke or a sign. I would guess it's a fluke because we have quite a bit of domestic production. Granted, the Biden administration has made drilling, especially on federal lands, all but impossible. But in terms of like existing supply, I think we have enough that you wouldn't see shortages that quickly just from the Ukraine thing. I don't know. Evening, Mr. Florida man. Nice view. Well, thank you. Have you seen the last show with the Jackman brothers? I did not, but I did see the promo that they put out, and I retweeted it because I thought that was awesome. They have RFK talking about what he thinks happened to his father and his uncle. Anytime I see that, I am intrigued. So we also got news over the past couple days where Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, says that sanctions could hurt the U.S. dollar amidst alternate currency plans. No shit, Janet. What's wrong with you? Is this news even? Goodness gracious. Oops, sorry. I need to take that comment down. Yeah, I really do think that like that is kind of a precursor to a great reset, is if like it's a reset into a new currency paradigm, which is why a lot of people think that the central bank digital currency is the natural next step. And I fear that they may be right. We'll see. Come on, folks. Give me some comments. Give me some questions. Give me something to talk about. Kaneko the Great has a pretty interesting video I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to run that for you guys. This is Jeff Landry. He's the Attorney General for Missouri versus Biden and the U.S. government's censorship industrial complex.
White House Director of Digital Strategy, Robert Flattery, was impressed when YouTube reported their success in reducing watch time of borderline content by 70%. This is what we found.
Hey, that's me. How cool. I have my own category, borderline content.
In our case, the FBI claims a success rate of 50% in getting platforms to censor content flagged as misinformation. The Election Integrity Partnership, now known as the Virality Project, bragged that 4 major platforms they worked with all had high response rates and that 35% of URLs shared with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube were either labeled, removed, or soft blocked. As a result of this collusion between social media companies and the CDC, NIH, NIAID, American citizens, scientists, and journalists were shadow banned, censored, silenced, and deplatformed for their valid concern about lockdowns, masks, COVID vaccine.
You get the idea. Of course, he's going to pick all the famous people that had their reach limited, but if I'm being honest, I'm much more concerned about the average person that was censored and no one ever knew. No one ever knew that they were banned and deplatformed. I'm sure many of you in here are those people. So many of my friends had their accounts deleted and they created new ones and blah, blah, blah. We're constantly trying to circumvent. But I just think it's good that we're like actually able to see statistically how much this was able to curtail our reach. I mean, if it's true that they were able to get 70% reduction in views to content like mine, because let's be honest, I am, of course, considered borderline. The fact that I'm even still allowed on here is miraculous. So, by the way, I don't know how Dave stays on here. It's amazing. Tyler Wood says, "Hey Clint, love listening to your debate with Destiny. I first heard about you on Tom Woods. Welcome aboard. If you had to recommend one book every libertarian should read, what would you choose?" Well, I mean, there's a ton of like great libertarian literature that most libertarians have read. So I'll go off the board and say the 4-Hour Work Week. I think that for me was the most life-changing book that I read. It really reframed my entire entrepreneurial spirit and sped up my clock in terms of like, I'm going to find all these alternate paths to create additional income streams that are passive in nature so that I can retire young and focus on what I'm passionate about. And sure enough, I mean, granted, circumstances kind of brought this to bear, but I ended up by 2020 being able to essentially retire and begin Liberty Lockdown and focus on what I was most passionate about in life, which is speaking out against the government, which is why I'm borderline content. Yeah, I know, Ofer. I don't think he announces, man. I'm sorry. Orkin lost a supplier because they didn't make sure the carbon credits were in the deal. Fucking idiots. Interesting. The yuan has surpassed the US dollar. In what context? I don't think that's accurate. I did read today that in terms of Chinese trade, more of their goods are being exchanged or sold in yuan versus US dollars. And that's the first time that's happened. But needless to say, China is not the only nation on earth. So they're not quite there. They're not quite caught up as far as I know. Any time frame for the poker show yet? Poker with the boys, Tim Pool. No, I don't have a start time. If I had to guess, it'd probably be June, but we'll see. He's a busy dude. I honestly haven't even followed up with him because I'm like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I think that he's serious about it, and I think that he's serious about me hosting it. So I think that when he's ready, he will let me know. I guess it's a toss-up between Dave Smith and Afroman at this point. Yeah, that's the coin flip. Equally good, though. Of course. Baby, that's all I need. Is it even gay to be gay anymore? There's so many new things now. It's confusing. That's a good point, Stevie. No, actually, you are not gay if you're gay. That's how it works now. What do you think can course correct this current trans communist agenda? In my opinion, it would be serving up actual justice. Well, of course it is, Mr. Based. That would be your solution. I'm of the opinion that the solution is quite simple. You have to pull your children out of indoctrination mills. That's not a solution to the broader issue because so many people are not going to do that, and so many people are going to allow their children to be messed with in the public schooling system. Sad, but what am I to do? I don't have the capacity to force them to pull their kids out of public school, and I certainly don't have the capacity to get the ring of power and then abolish public schools. So it's kind of like all I can do is advise, my friends and family to do the prudent thing, which is to try and get their kids out of there as soon as possible. I do think that there's a compelling argument to be made that there ought to be at minimum, civil or lawsuits against doctors that end up damaging children. Once you've gone through the indoctrination and you're an adult and you transition or whatever, if there's a negative outcome, I think it's just sad, and I don't think you're ever going to be able to find any sort of recompense or reparations. I don't think it's possible. Sad. How do I get a lot of money currently living in my car? Well, Sam, you're going to have to turn that car into some sort of income stream. So I would recommend Uber Eats or Lyft, Uber, something, pizza delivery. I did that for 4 years. I was a pizza delivery man all through college, and I was able to make about $30 an hour. Most of it I took under the table and didn't pay taxes on because I'm a criminal and I don't care. So yeah, that's what I would advise to get you on your feet. Once you have that, then get either educated if you want to go that route, if you want to try and go the corporate route, or start down some sort of entrepreneurial path. I would recommend selling drugs. Wink. Just kidding. Double wink. Do it safely. Don't get caught. Where do you think Tucker's most likely landing spot is? Will Rumble make a big play for him? Look, I'm going to be honest with you, James. I don't think that they can afford Tucker. I don't think they have that kind of money. Like, do you? Do you think that they can sign Tucker Carlson Like maybe they're that deep pocketed, but if they're, you know, if they're able to throw 50 at, or whatever it ended up being, at that guy whose life is being ruined online today, Crowder, I don't think that, like, what's Tucker worth? It's got to be worth 150, 200, 250 million dollars. Like, I don't, maybe they have that kind of money. I don't know. So I think he goes indie. Spotify can make a huge play for him if they've been successful with the Rogan contract. They may see that as like the next natural progression. That would be interesting. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. What do you think of Ron DeSantis signing HB 269 in Jerusalem, making speech deemed harassment or intimidation a felony? It is being touted as a law to combat anti-Semitism. I think it's horrible. I think that hate crime laws, hate speech laws are all un-American, against the First Amendment entirely. The fact that he would do it in Israel just demonstrates to me that he is very serious about making a presidential run because he's looking for funding. So I oppose. I oppose hate speech, hate crime. I think that if you break the law, really, it doesn't much matter the spirit with which you're doing it. You know, if you take a life, you took a life. You go to jail for murder. Do we really need to add charges so that we can then have a highly politicized criminal justice system? I say no. Coffee, tea, or fizzy energy drinks? I'm a fizzy energy drink guy. I can't do, tea I can do. Coffee is too powerful for me, man. And I don't really do fizzy energy drinks. I just drink like a diet soda or whatever. Mike Mello says, Sam, get a sales job. Not bad advice. That was the other thing I did before I had a college degree. I worked for Verizon Wireless, and I was one of the top 10 sales reps in the nation. And that was the first time in my life I made six figures. And the only time in my 20s that I made six figures. So sales jobs can be very good. They're very high stress, very high pressure, and you will burn out. So whatever you're making, you're going to feel like you're making more money than you ever have in your life, because you will be, but you need to save it, all of it, so that then you can transition to something that's more sustainable, because very few people can do the sales gig for, an extended period of time. I lasted literally 12 months. Justice doesn't exist in communist countries for a reason. True. The state is God, and justice can't be a part of that system as it exposes the immoral corruption of these authoritarian regimes. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Question. If a national divorce were to occur, do you think it could be done peacefully? There's so much vitriol everywhere. Yes, I do. I think that it can happen peacefully. Do I think that's probable? No, I do not. But I think that at some point, there's enough animus between both sides, but there's also a recognition that it would be extraordinarily bloody and painful to go the other route. And I think that cooler heads could prevail, and we could say to ourselves, like, we are still, it's like brothers, honestly, it's from what I've read, it's the same, at least the same rhetoric that Putin used in describing his war against Ukraine. He's like, these are our brothers, like, we don't want to be doing this. I feel like a lot of people would feel the same way. Let's hope that it doesn't result in an invasion like it did in Ukraine. I'm on my 5th Twitter account. Yeah, most people I know are. Only two is a savage. Propaganda by Jacques Ellul is a must read. All right. Great question, Anna. Everybody loves Anna. Talk about Texit when you're here. We're a captive audience. Is that anything I need to tell libertarians in Texas about? Like, aren't they all on board for Texit? I would think. For those that don't know, Texit is the idea of Texas exiting. See how clever that phrasing was? God, we got a lot of comments. All right. Okay, not being mean. No more Tim Pool beanies. You are a distinguished man that looks better in a baseball hat. LOL. Also, weird you wore a beanie in summer in Florida. Well, I'm going to wear whatever the fuck I want. How about that, mom of 3 boys? They're going to start putting in mRNA foods. What do I do about it? I don't want to read that out loud. I think they already are. There's already cattle that are getting it. So I don't know what else you're supposed to do. You're supposed to create your own farm and homestead. Like, I think that's the only way that you're going to actually have a healthy food supply. It's crazy. Liberty Lockdown. Tim is a very busy, forgetful guy. He loves being reminded. I don't know if you're being serious. I doubt he loves being reminded. But I'll follow up with him in a week if he doesn't get back to me by then. Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. I relate to Afroman. I've hung out in Palmdale. I have it as well. Palmdale fucking sucks. Like, I can't imagine growing up in Palmdale and be like, I'm going to stay in Palmdale. Palmdale is terrible. It is the armpit of the earth. It's like Hemet, California. It fucking sucks. If you've ever been there, you know. 20% drop in New Hampshire public school enrollment in the last 20 years. Awesome. Have you ever come across Robert Breedlove? He has a very philosophical approach and perspective on money. I think you would have a great conversation with him. Coincidentally, he was in Tennessee. Unfortunately, I had a speaking engagement that morning, and then I went immediately back to my hotel room to continue prepping for my debate against Destiny, which was 4 hours later. And Robert spoke in between, so I missed his speech, and I don't think we even met, actually. So I'm sure we'll cross paths, though. I hear that he's a pretty cool guy. I want to rent a little. I plan on doing Ron Paul's homeschool. I had already discussed it with my ex, and then he started fucking a public school teacher. Based. Just kidding. I'm sorry. That sucks. That sucks. By the way, gangbangers killing each other for rap, selling rock cocaine on my doorstep. Hell yeah. Novum. Spit them lyrics, son. She coerced him into enrolling the kid without informing me. I found an anarchist lawyer who has spoken at Acapulco on a podcast. I can't remember whose. I need to talk to him, I think. Yeah, I guess so. Very true. I don't know just how lucky I was to go to a good Catholic school, even though my parents weren't religious. True that. I was very fortunate. I got a public school that wasn't at all woke, but I'm also old, so like the wokeness shit wasn't really a thing yet. Clint, keep up the great work. Been listening since ground zero. Can't wait to hear Vivek on your show. Me too. By the way, it's actually not going to be next week. It's going to be the week after. Update for you guys. Heard him on Malice's show today while driving the big truck around. Seems like a solid dude. I totally agree. He's very solid. He's very brilliant, genuinely brilliant. And I think the conversation is going to be very interesting. I'm going to be more contentious with him than Malice was because I feel like he and I come from very similar skill sets, and I can actually push him on some areas that Malice may not have felt comfortable in doing. And I feel like I want more practical answers to solving ESG. I'm not at all interested in his war against Mexico concept or war against the cartels concept, which would almost certainly mean war against Mexico because it's a cartel, it's a narco state essentially. So yeah, that's going to be a really, really interesting conversation. And I infinite respect to the guy that he's willing to do my show. I'm not the biggest guy out there. The fact that he's willing to give me an hour is phenomenal. Great thing, though, about my kid is that he is smart enough and old enough to understand that he is smarter than his teachers. He wants to be a double agent. Facts. I was the same way. My mom used to talk shit to the teachers because anytime they would try to reprimand me, she'd be like, "You're smarter than all these fucking idiots." You should try to get Dr. Shiva on the show. He's exposing everyone and their mama. I don't really like dealing with people like that. I mean, if they're exposing bad things from the government, yeah, as you know, I've had on FBI whistleblowers. I'll have on anybody that's actually going after the powerful. If they're exposing, other commentators and shit like that, I don't like that drama scene. It's not my thing. I'm not sure what you meant, so I'm not trying to chastise you. How long before the U.S. dollar loses its global reserve status? Any idea what it would take or what it would look like leading up to it? Well, it would look like this, Nathan. But I don't think it's imminent. I've explained this in prior episodes, but there are the contracts that most global trade is done in are multi-year contracts. So for them to be turned over, during the rollover period where you're upping another contract, then you can say, okay, this contract will be exchanged via yuan or the ruble or whatever. So until those contracts come off the books and those nations decide to trade in different currencies, the US dollar is still going to have a tremendous amount of demand on a global scale. But with currency, the way collapses happen are usually quite rapid. The reason this won't be is because of the dollar reserve status. You see Argentina, you see Weimar Germany, those things happen very fast. You can have them happen in a few year period, but that's not how it happens when a reserve currency implodes. It takes years. So that's my expectation. It'll be 5 to 10 years, maybe 20. That's my honest opinion. Would mass declassification of all government docs unite everyone against the state or polarize us beyond repair? Probably the latter, because let's be honest, like even when you're presented with the truth, so few people are willing to accept it. Like the news will tell them that it's a lie. I mean, a good example was during my debate with Destiny. It's like you have Victoria Nuland and Jeffrey Pyatt on, recorded having a conversation in the 2 weeks prior to the coup where they're expressing their preference. They're saying, let's get let's call up Biden, get the deets to stick. Like, but you have, a very intelligent person, Destiny, who's willing to write that off, saying that's not proof of anything. That's just their preference. People will, excuse basically anything if it doesn't fit their narrative. It's very bizarre. Looking forward to seeing you at the Austin event. You as well, Jennifer. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. Are you interested in talking with the Nation of Islam people? I'd be down. I don't really care. Much love, brother. Hopefully I'll be in USA soon. Love to catch up. Dinner drinks on me. Please give me your thoughts on Scott's Provoked. Dude, it's a fucking masterpiece. Arabian, what's up, brother? He's Australian. He's cool as hell. He gave me a hat. I still have it. It's over in my closet right there. Look, it's really upsetting that Scott's book isn't done because the world needs that book terribly right now. Like it has, I mean, I'm not going to say it has a chance of like preventing World War III, but it has a chance of putting pressure that could, cascade into that. So the fact that he's working on anything other than that book right now, just goes to show what a hippie at heart Scott is, because there is so much market demand for, the truth about the history between war, Ukraine and Russia. And it's like, he's got it like this close to being finalized, and he's working on a Waco project. And, God bless him. I know the Waco project is valuable and important too, but there's nothing more important right now than preventing World War III. So, you the man, can you shout out a fellow Clint at Clint Stone's World Channel? You guys should collab and shit on these rainbow commies together. All right. What's up, Clint Stone's World Channel? Neocons in the White House are going to get us nuked by the Russians, and it will not be 1 or 2 bombs. They got the missiles to wipe out 75% of the population. They got the missiles to wipe out 100% of the population, as far as I can tell. So, given, I mean, certainly not in the actual blast radius, but in terms of like nuclear winter, yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. Nope. Some libertarians worry about Texit because we don't want Abbott to have so much power. Well, look, if you're gonna have a populist movement that's willing to actually secede from the nation, and they're still fucking gay enough to put Abbott back in power, then you don't really have a populace that's ready for secession. I'm sorry. Like, you just don't. So they're probably not there. How does someone go about finding trustworthy information on Bitcoin for beginners? Who's a good teacher? Guy Swan, Bitcoin Audible. Just subscribe and listen to it, and over a year you'll have a better understanding than 99% of people. Clint's mama is based. I agree. I love Steven Crowder's show, funniest show on the internet, and now Nick DiPaolo is on there. Cool. Yeah, look, I don't have any hate towards Crowder. I just think that the way he was talking to his wife was pretty fucked up, especially given that she was pregnant. I'm like, damn, son. Have you listened to the latest Libertarian Institute from Patrick that challenges Tim Pool's China hawkishness? He should be on Tim Pool to discuss it. I totally agree. Yeah, I think being hawkish with a nation with 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion people plus 300 nuclear weapons, hawkishness is not an option. You can learn to get along, or we all die. That's the answer. So all this fucking hawkishness shit, it's like, what are we talking about? You can't be hawkish with a nation with 6,000 nukes or a nation with 300 nukes and 1.5 billion people. Can't do it. So, yeah, I think Tim and I will get into a spat about that eventually, but I still like the guy. He's awesome. You should reach out to Thomas Massie for the show. He's one of only few in the government who reminds me of what America used to be. I agree, man. I love Massie. I think I emailed his his congressional office to see if I could get him on. Josie knows him, so maybe she can put me in touch. We'll see. What are good points for local libertarians running in their communities to discuss with normies to win votes and advance liberty? I'll tell you, I'm blanking on his name right now. God, I can't remember it. Anyways, he got to become the mayor of Keensburg in Colorado, and it was a nonpartisan race. So, my personal opinion, you should not be running in partisan races. You should be running in races that are small population, that don't have a party label, and then just talk to them as if you're not a libertarian. Like, I'm not saying lie about your beliefs, just tell them your exact beliefs. But like, most people agree with our beliefs if they don't think you're a libertarian. So just don't say I'm a libertarian. Just say I'm going to reduce your taxes. I'm going to free up business. I'm going to, alleviate the war on drugs issues that we're dealing with. I'm going to da 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 da. Just I can't give you really good advice because I don't know the area, and even if I did know the area, I probably don't know the politics of that local area. So you have to obviously target it towards what they're passionate about, what they're concerned about, and then just give them the libertarian answer. They'll probably like it. RFK Jr. was promoting the V in black community before COVID, plus he endorsed Hillary in 2016. I know. Not good. Yeah, Steve Crowder treats his wife like shit. Yet the show is necessary these days. Sad fact. It's true. Did you hear about Wizards of the Coast sending the Pinkertons to a guy's house? No, don't know anything about that. Destiny is disgusting. Okay, Scotty. Have you talked to Shane Hazel lately? My man on fire, basically. Was on fire and basically. I don't know. No, I haven't talked to Shane in a while, but I like the guy. He's cool. And so Barbie Dave Smith had some great advice on that. Come at it from their angle. They're lefty talking points and vice versa. You want to be on their side, but push slightly forward. Exactly. Destiny frequently argues in bad faith. He's not a truth teller. He's a partisan. After talking to him, I agree. I think that he is a partisan in nature. Very bright, very good at what he does, but he's kind of a liar. Because if I'm being totally honest, I think that he's kind of like put himself in that lane of like, this is now the thing that I defend, and I go around and I defend it everywhere. But I can't imagine that he's actually open to risking World War III to defend, the eastern portion of Ukraine. It's like, really? I don't think so. Liberty Lockdown. Crazy how you just debated someone who's almost your neighbor. Almost my neighbor. He lives in Tennessee. How is he almost my neighbor? I'm so confused. Destiny frequently argues in bad faith. Oh, sorry, I already read that one. Destiny's arguments are like a ticky-tack 2-bit lawyer. Crazy Legs Abbott. Damn, we got a lot of comments. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read through them. Oh, yeah, it was Aaron Lamb. Thank you, Benzo. I forgot his name for a second. I know a guy that has a video of Steve Crowder farting in the bathtub and biting the bubbles. Is that true? What a fucking bizarre thing to say if that's not true. Y'all are crazy. Mike said he could have sworn he lives in Miami Beach. No, Destiny lives in Tennessee. As far as I know, he lives in Tennessee. I could be wrong, though. All right, I'm going to read. You got more comments coming in, so I'm going to read something while we wait. Biden's team fears the aftermath of a failed Ukrainian counteroffensive. Behind closed doors, the administration worries about what Ukraine can accomplish. The Biden administration is quietly preparing for the possibility that if the Ukraine spring counteroffensive falls short of expectations, critics at home and allies abroad will argue that America has come up short too. Ukraine's ever-imminent counteroffensive will attempt to retake Russian-seized territory, most likely in the east and south. Though for operational reasons, no senior officials from Kiev have detailed specifics. So I just thought that would be interesting for you guys to hear that they are kind of have one foot in, 1 foot out. And sorry that I constantly show you guys tweets from Kaneko the Great, but I fucking love this dude. He's got a great video. This was from, what are they called? From Vox back in 2015 when it was still legal to tell the truth. Check this out.
We can see this, first of all, by just looking at a pretty basic political map of Ukraine.
All right, let me pause this because if you look at the map of the battlefield and who controls what right now, it is almost exactly this line. I mean, it's a little bit more to the east, but the line is almost exactly that. So this whole concept or this whole argument that Putin is interested in taking over all of Ukraine, given what he's taken so far, is exclusively the Russian-speaking territories or the predominantly Russian-speaking territories tells me that he is doing what he's actually said, which is he's protecting the people of the East from being shelled from the Ukrainian government. That's my read of it. Let's finish this.
You look at the results in the election that brought Yanukovych to power, you can see that the eastern regions of the country were far more likely to support Yanukovych, and the western regions were far more likely to support Tymoshenko. And the interesting thing about that is that political divide that you see comes up in a ton of different aspects of Ukraine's history and geography. So one area is the linguistic divides. The divides of the different regions of the country that are predominantly Russian-speaking as opposed to predominantly Ukrainian-speaking really closely mirror that political divide. We can see this, first of all, by just...
No shit. And this is why I stand by my thesis that the most likely and prudent outcome of that war is that divide that we just saw right there. The Russian speakers, especially given that they've been shelled for 8 years, yeah, they probably are sincere in their desire to no longer be shelled and would probably be added to Russia. Or the more moderate compromise, which is the one I favor, is that Russia takes Crimea, maybe a little bit of that landmass that's like 80% Russian speaking, and then the rest, the Donbass region, becomes kind of an autonomous zone or a heavily, federalist system where they get, way more autonomy than the rest of Ukraine. It seems like the most obvious outcome. And honestly, I think it's what's going to happen. It's either that or we end up in World War III. So I prefer that because World War III is not an option. Eesh. AJ on LL way. Yeah, dude. Alex Jones he fucking ghosted me like 4 times. Kills me, man. Mike says, I checked his wiki page. He lives in Miami. You, him, and Sneeko should do a rap video. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm so down. But I was told that he lived in Tennessee, so I don't know what the fuck's happening. Yes, I am. Look, I have the contact for Alex's booker, but like, if he won't do it, what am I supposed to do? I feel like I just have to get my profile elevated more so that people respect me and actually fucking show up when they say they're gonna. What can you do? I'm trying over here, Core study on Dusty's physiognomy. By the way, how funny is it that Colt can't pronounce that word? Hilarious. Fucking retard. Over under on USA making it 10 more years. I never thought it would last this long, but they seem to dance on the edge of oblivion. Look, yeah, I think it will last 10 years, but it's going to be fucking ugly. Destiny lives with his wife's boyfriend. Battle of. See, I need you guys to write my one-liners for the debates. I kept that shit way too friendly, by the way, but it was my first time. Cut me some slack. Crowder is a bubble biter fact. All right. Benzo says Tower Gang. Destiny loved The Last Jedi. Probably true. What a guy. Does pineapple belong on pizza? No. Look, if you heat up fruit, your IQ is low. Super low. Fruit is intended to be cold, like God intended. You make fruit hot, you might as well go to a bathhouse while you're at it. Next time you talk with lefties, take a sketch pad because watching Combo Couch was frustrating. By the way, talk to Whitney Webb. I've reached out to Whitney before. I'll try again. You're right, Adam. I have a problem where I want to listen to my opponent and I don't take notes, and then I oftentimes will forget what I intended to respond to, particularly when I have a long-winded dude who just won't shut up and he's just rattling like 50 wrong things at me. And I oftentimes will resort to only responding to like the last 2. It's a big problem that I have because I like to stay in, connected with the speaker. So it makes my interviews better, but it makes my debates worse. So it's a trade-off. I'm working on it. Have you seen the Austrian NATO rep talking in Washington, D.C. this week, pushing the breakup of Russia into 41 states amongst NATO nations? I did. I think that guy's a fucking nobody. He's got no political power. So I'm not really worried about it. Obviously, I oppose what he's describing. It would be like there's no chance that we avoid nuclear war if that actually becomes United States policy. So Like, if they were actually sincerely discussing it, I would be absolutely losing my mind. But I don't think it's realistic, and I don't think that guy has anybody's ear. He sounds like a fucking propagandist lunatic. Pineapple belongs on only thin crust, spicy pepperoni, and bacon. All right, I'll compromise, Barton. That's fine. With jalapenos, okay. Just join the stream. What polysocial issue do you think is most important right now? Oof. Well, I think you could guess my answer to the political. World War III and the war in Ukraine is the most important right now. I think second, which is wonky and doesn't get much traction or attention, but the U.S. dollar's reserve currency status and the inflation that we're experiencing, I think, is very, very important to be paying attention to from both a political and an investing perspective. And then I think punishing the lockdowners is very high on my list. I think that if you don't genuinely imprison some of those people, like, we're going to end up with that happening again under the guise of climate alarmism. And then lastly, I don't know how pervasive it is, but I am genuinely deeply concerned about the massive rise in people that are dealing with gender dysphoria. Like, I read some statistics, it was actually from the New York Times, and it was like there's been a doubling or tripling just since the lockdowns, and that is crazy to me. You know, the fact that you could have such a massive rise in such a short amount of time. Obviously, it coincided with everybody being stuck at home and everybody being on TikTok and social media, and the fact that this is like now the in vogue thing for children to be doing. I think that we're going to pay a huge price. So I'm nervous about that. I don't really have a good answer for it other than to get your children out of there. But I think it would be a huge mistake for the libertarians to just go, live and let live, bro. Like, look, yeah, like, once you're an adult and you want to do whatever you want, live and let live. But when it comes to children, like, intervention is sometimes needed, and I don't know what the answer is there. But I think that, like, they need help. So I'm still thinking about that one. Ukraine is a clear example of self-determination being ignored. True. What's hilarious is that they hide behind democracy as if that concept beats out individual freedom or even freedom of association. Also true. I mean, the fact that there's been referendums. I mean, some people got upset with me because I pointed out that, the referendum's done after the invasion. It is tough to say, but see, this is the issue. It was a coup de main. It wasn't really an invasion. So, like, does that actually make the referendum illegitimate? Especially if it was monitored by independent sources that concluded that there was a supermajority of people in Crimea that did want to become, part of Russia. I think that that's more legitimate than democracy. Just the vote for Zelensky, and now everybody in that landmass has to have their life and jeopardized and in danger. Seems kind of crazy to me. Next time, schedule a debate followed by roast battle. I'm so down for that. I think I could do a really good job at that. Pineapple on pizza is a violation of the NAP. Correct. You were way too soft with the blue-haired male feminist. You need to get hard before you announce. Agreed. What about hot apple pie? That's the rare exception. Good point. I take back everything I said. But if you do hot apple pie, you have to have vanilla ice cream with it. Otherwise, march your ass to a bathhouse once again. Peach cobbler fool. All right, look, I was wrong. Okay. I just think that pineapple on pizza is kind of fucking whack. Honestly, though, like, I've had it and it's not that bad, but just like hot fruit, not very heterosexual. You need to come on Rakita. Look, I'm now cool with one of his people. I'm blanking on his name right now too. I have a really bad memory too. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I forgot a bunch of things. I forgot fucking George Soros' name during the debate. Like, how do you do that? How do you forget his name? Crazy. Banana pudding. Banana pudding's good, but it's not even fruit anymore. It's just mashed up nanners, right? A bunch of sugar. Note taking while listening is an art for debates. It really is. I'm like, classic man where I can only do one thing at a time. Like, the only thing I can do two at a time, would be working out. I can work out and I can listen to a podcast. That's the extent of my capacity. Second, get with Nick Ricciata. Dude, I'm down. Like, look, guys, you gotta message him. Messaging me, I'm down. So let him know that I'm an entity that would actually bring some viewers over there. You know what I'm saying? I smoke pineapple at times. Smoky sweet, delicious. Not very heterosexual of you. Good night. Good night, bro. Destiny doesn't belong on pizza. That's true. I prefer the Irish guy that blasts you all the time. I agree, dude. That dude's rad. Dusty lives in a pineapple under the sea in Tennessee. Maybe. Any plans to have Ryan Dustin on again in the near future? I'd be down. He's tough to schedule with because he's in Japan. So he's like, the clock is just way, way off for us. But he and I are still on good terms. Who are the top 2 Twitter ats that everyone is sleeping on? I think Top is the funniest, Top Lobster, because he's like totally out of his mind. Who's another good one? If you guys don't follow Kaneko the Great, like he's like breaking real news. But he's not being slept on because he's got like 300,000 followers all of a sudden because Elon followed him. Who's another smaller account that I like? Let me think about it. I know there's others for sure. Smartest people I knew on my debate team couldn't debate, but you did well. Destiny is like all of them. Say stupid stuff and hard to respond. Yeah. See, that's the problem. Like I tend to just be. Oh, that was the other problem. Because I didn't have a moderator, I got put into a conversational mode, and that is not good for, like, you guys know I'm capable of being mean. Like I've done it in other debate settings, but like it just never presented itself. So I just think he's like deeply wrong, but I struggled to get upset with him over how wrong he was, which would have helped me probably. The world is disconnected because we're all connected online. That's a good point. I mean, like, yes, we're having a conversation right now, but like, I've never even met most of you. It's weird. Life is weird. Jerry Springer is dead. Where's Destiny? I don't know what that means. The 9/11 CIA FBI news report at the Gray Zone was infuriating to read. I'll have to read that. I would encourage you to keep seeking out debates. It's a skill that's learned. Some are more apt to the initial confrontation, but the kinetics of it are learned. Agreed. Look, first time, that he's debated 1,000 times or something. Like, this is my first. So, I'll get better. Believe that. I'm going to get a hell of a lot better. I was so nervous too. Like the first 10 minutes, I was like, fuck. And then after that, I was fine, but I'll get a lot better. I promise. Clint, talk about the Lakers. All right, Dave. Fucking Kobe's still alive. He lives with Tupac on Jeffrey Epstein's island. And it's weird that they live there, but I'm happy they're still alive. The Lakers are up 3-2. They're going back home tomorrow night. They're going to win it. They're going to take it to round 2. If Toledo residents don't let the city in their home to install a smart meter, the city will shut off their water. That's messed up. Rikita is awesome. Damn it, dude. You guys are just talking him up. All right, I'll do it. Is the Temple poker thing still on the table? I feel like Luis J. Gomez, Temple, and Alex Jones all failed to come through. Big fails. I know, man. Look, life is like that. You got to just keep grinding. You got to keep grinding. I think the 10 thing's going to happen. I do. And I think Alex Jones is going to be on Liberty Lockdown sometime this year. Like, I think like these things they manifest. Like, look, I've manifested everything I've done so far. I am a believer that I can just fucking, if I keep going, I am undeniable. That's how I feel. Sorry for the ego, but I'm just being straight with you. I think I could fucking make it happen. Go get some sleep to show Toad how it's done. No, I will not. Top is like a honey badger. He is. He's a fucking lunatic. That's why I love him. Cole's funny, but he's only on Instagram now. Fucking homo. What role does shame play in a healthy society? It seems like leftists are against feeling shame about any choice they make. Rise to Liberty podcast. I think that shame plays a huge role in a healthy society because the alternative is that you criminalize everything you dislike. And is that good? No, that's way worse. You want to imprison people for raising their kids poorly? I'd rather not, because then what do? You end up adopting them or you make them a ward of the state? Like, not a good option there, that's for sure. So I think that shaming is vitally necessary for a healthy, cohesive society. And it seems counterintuitive because you're shaming your neighbor, like that may, breed bad blood. But the reality is, like, if you live in a community, then you kind of have to. Like, do you want to? Like, I think that it's tragic that people have such bleeding hearts for the homeless. You ought to be telling these people, like, look, I will either help you get off the street or I will never give you a dime. Like, because, like, do you want to live? Like, this is the weird thing. People think that it's cold hearted, but the truth is, do you want your city to be known for being extremely giving to the homeless, so that then they start to migrate there? Look, this may not be an issue where you live, but trust me, if you spend any time in California, I grew up there. I watched it happen firsthand because they have the best weather and they had the most, bleeding heart people that were willing to give them enough money to keep their addiction going. It just, they gather like locusts. I mean, it was insane. San Francisco went from like a pretty nice place, like a really nice place, to hell on earth in 30 years. Sorry, you got a tough love, you know what I'm saying? Rank the physiques of TG. Cole, number 1. That's it. Did he move to South Korea? I don't know. Sorry, they were asking about Ryan Dawson. I thought he was in Japan still, but maybe he moved. That's right, Hector. I'm inevitable. Can you watch Rakita's January 6th rant? He won't hit you. Yeah, I'll watch it. You've never seen me mean ever? I don't know. I'm capable of being mean. Believe me, I can. I got blowed the fuck out by Destiny. All right. Thanks, Eric. Benzo fires right back. Success is often slow at first. As you build upon your previous success, your future success tends to snowball. Absolutely. Look, I did 2 million downloads last year. I've only been doing this for 2.5 years. That's fucking ridiculous. So, like, let's pump the brakes. Dave's been doing this for fucking 13 years now or something like that. I've been doing it for less than 3. I'm doing very, very well. I think that, obviously we all wish things would happen faster, but like, just keep going. They were doing a reorganization. They had a bunch of them fake me. All right, that's not a comment for me. Cali weather is the best thing about the state. It's getting close to being the only good thing about California, which is very sad. All right. Yeah, aspirations are seen as conceitedness to those with no dreams. Exactly. Look, here's the truth. I started my show in May of 2020, and I didn't have super high aspirations. I was just like, I was stuck in lockdowns, and I was going to do whatever I could to try and make whatever, minor difference I could attempt to. But as soon as I had Dave on my show, I was like, I'm going to be on Joe Rogan one day. I just decided it. And like, that's the goal that I set for myself. So I think that there's like a huge mistake in thinking that you shouldn't, 1, obviously be setting goals for yourself, but 2, believe in yourself. Like, if you don't believe in yourself, why the fuck should anybody else? And I think a lot of people have had their spirits broken. I mean, certainly lockdowns didn't help, but public school didn't help. Social media doesn't help. Our culture doesn't help. But that's all the more reason you have to be steadfast in this. You have to like fucking believe in yourself. And that is the one thing I have never struggled with. I have always believed in myself, and it has never let me down. So if you struggle with that, you need to find some sort of resolve, some sort of confidence in your internal fortitude, your character, your intelligence, whatever you're fucking great at. Like, just focus on that and believe. And then if you're not good enough, get better. That's it. I know it's like, once you say it, it's all platitudes and seems really straightforward and simple, but it's like, it's hard for people to do. So it's good to have a reminder sometimes. So yeah, I don't make any fucking apologies about it. I will be on Joe Rogan one day. I will. And it's going to be awesome. That's it. Public school to the childhood dreams and crush them into good little drones. Yeah, sad, man. Eric says, do I respect Joe Rogan intellectually? Yeah, I do. Ohana says, I'm tired of them coming after our children from every angle. I agree, man. Sad. Are you a big city guy for life, or are you ever tempted to go homestead in the middle of nowhere? I will homestead in the middle of nowhere, probably within the next 4 to 5 years, maybe even sooner. I mean, working for Tim out in West Virginia would be kind of like my first foray into more rural living. So I'm going to learn how I like it. But I like, look, I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a fucking like homestead lifestyle. Like that's what I'm envisioning in my 40s. So Clint, can you hit up some more monetary economics with all the craziness going on? Your episode a month or two with Greg Foss and Guy Swan was amazing. Well, thank you, Clerk. Yeah, of course. I mean, those guys are awesome. I'm sure I'll have them on. I feel like we're going to do that like every 3 or 4 months. So stay tuned. I will be in Joe Rogan. Joe, let's go. I've met Joe. He's a very nice guy. I respect anyone who loves to learn. So do I. Come to North Alabama. Tell your fucking local LP to fly me out for the state convention. And we're all right. We're into NFL draft conversation, so we must be running out of energy. Clint, I'm homesteading in the middle of nowhere with 7 kids. Hit me up. Awesome. Congrats. It's badass. Let's get you out of here on this. I wanted to talk briefly about the David Sachs tweeted out when this is about the Ukraine, or excuse me, Russia Gate nonsense from 5 years ago now, 6 years ago now. It says, when Blinken called Morell to express concerns about the Hunter Biden laptop story, did Blinken explicitly need to tell Morell to cook up the letter? Of course not. Morell is a longtime intelligence operative. He knows what to do without being told. When Morell then rounded up 50 signatures for the letter, did he explicitly need to remind those former security state operatives that their continued access and career opportunities depended on staying in the good graces of a future Biden administration? Of course not. They know that without being told. When the letter was then fed to the media, did the New York Times and Washington Post reporters explicitly need to be told to emphasize the parts claiming, quote, Russian disinformation, end quote, and downplaying the CYA language, cover your ass language, where the signatories admit they have no evidence? Of course not. The media knows what to do without being told. This is how the game is played. All it took was a phone call from Blinken. Bingo. I just wanted to read that to you guys because it was so fucking on point. The whole system, like, this is what my issue was with Destiny, where he's like, if you provide me evidence of color revolutions being, fomented and funded by the CIA or the State Department, then I'm all ears. Hey, dude, they're funded black ops. That's how it works. It's plausible deniability. No. The whole reason that they don't just do it directly and overtly is because they're not supposed to be doing that, because that would be an act of aggression, not just towards Ukraine, but also towards their neighbor, Russia. So you're never going to have it crystal clear, which is why I read off the dozen color revolutions that happened over those, from 2000 to 2014. It's like, look, once you see the whole painting, it should be enough for any rational person to go, all right, yeah, there's fucking something not organic here. If I'm able to inform you of the amount of, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone into reinforcing democracy in Ukraine, and then there's a coup right after, it doesn't take that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to fucking connect those dots. But for whatever reason, people are hesitant to do so. So it's like, that's the same idea here that he was talking about. Is like, you don't need to tell the news to do explicitly what you want them to do. They know what their fucking job is. I just wanted to drive that point home. They knew what to do. And the political apparatus also knows what to do. And the unelected political apparatus knows what to do. They basically are the one, that's the deep state, the unelected folks. They direct to the elected folks what to do. And then the media, as dutiful slaves, that is more interested in access and advertising revenue than they are the fucking truth and doing their job. Well, they do what they're supposed to do. That's how it works. Fucking interesting, right? Why is populism more true than the status quo? I don't really follow. Yeah, I am mad that your Stros beat my Padres, you piece of shit. A man's soul is only ever at peace when he is able to work with his hands and see the results of his efforts. Don't agree. You don't have to work with your hands, but you do need to be fulfilled by the labor, whatever that labor may be. I don't believe for a second that you have to be doing, blue collar stuff to feel fulfillment. I have not been in the labor industry for my entire adult life, and I think it's still important to like take care of yourself physically and go out and do hard shit. Joe Rogan's what really inspired me on that path to become a gym rat for the past 15 years was from him. So I think that you should do physically taxing stuff, but then in terms of your labor, it can be intellectual, it can be speaking, it can be sales. It doesn't have to be swinging a hammer, See you on AK Nation News. Don't know what that is. The government has admitted to doing this kind of thing in the past. I don't see any reason to believe that they stopped. Fucking exactly. Because they didn't stop. It's really straightforward. All right, guys. I'm going to hop out of here. I hope some of you, I know some of you have already said that you're going to be coming out, but wanted to thank you guys so much for supporting the show. It means the world to me that so many of you guys watch. And if you guys want to support my work, I have a partnership with Converso, which is an awesome app. And you guys are able to text me for real. Goes straight to my phone right here. 555-175-8394. It's a brand new app and the shit is legit as hell. Again, my phone number is 555-175-8394. If you guys got any last questions or comments, hit the like button. Do that. CIA is without a doubt a vital and devastating force in the politics of any nation that contains the interests of the USA. Any suggestion otherwise is bad faith. I agree. We have so much fucking evidence of it. It's crazy. So yeah. Peace out, Romulus. Love you guys. I'll be back next week. Get some big guests, and then the week after that, Vivek Ramaswamy. We are